Tonight on the MTN News, fed up, frustrated, and worried.
It's just sad walking through your home seeing like bullet holes everywhere.
A Shepherd family hoping for answers after their home is left riddled with bullets. Also, updating aging infrastructure.
We're not necessarily taking baby steps, but we're also not running yet either. We are somewhere in the middle.
The improvements a nearly completed stormwater project will bring to the Billings Heights. And
it's going to hit home for a lot of people.
A play in Billings calling attention to a life-saving need. The MTN News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us on your Friday night. I'm Russ Riesinger. A Shepherd family worried about their safety and wondering why someone fired a barrage of bullets into their home and then drove off. Our David J. is digging into the case as the family and authorities search for a possible motive.
It's possible the vehicle came into the driveway, parked right here. Two people got out, took a total of 9 shots at the house, got back in, headed out through this yard, and went up and over back onto the road.
We thought something had fallen in the home. Maybe I had a home intruder. Something had been knocked over. So, we started sweeping the house and looking around and came across this.
Ricky Clemens and his wife, Gabby Rising, were fast asleep around 2 o'clock Monday morning when they awoke to what sounded like a war zone. How close did these come to you?
About 4 feet. Yeah, 4 feet from my head.
9 bullets flew through the walls of their home, slamming into the refrigerator, dishwasher, and more walls before getting to the bedroom in the back of their home where they had been sleeping. And 1 bullet almost went out the back.
They pulled in, they got out of their vehicle, and they shot with a purpose. And we don't know what that purpose is. 9 rounds. It was a semi-automatic rifle for sure from the rate of fire.
Clemens found 1 bullet and 9 shell casings in the driveway, which have been turned over to the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office, and he determined these were armor-piercing bullets.
It's actually a 7.62 by 3.9 NATO, which is a military round.
The Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office confirms that the shells were NATO and says the bullets had a steel core jacket, but a motive is unclear. 4 days later, no suspects have been arrested.
This is a turnaround. This was meant to not harm somebody. This was meant to kill somebody.
Lance Brown is friends with Ricky and Gabby and served in the military and says he knows from his time in combat that the bullets tell a story.
That's the length of a bullet. If that hits somebody and hits your hip, imagine the damage that would do compared to that.
Fortunately, Ricky, Gabby, and their 3 dogs were not hurt, but they did not know what happened until they looked at the damage.
We thought of all these different scenarios, and it was scary to think that at your home someone would do this and you don't know why.
Ricky and Gabby moved to Shepherd less than a year ago because they like the rural life, and they're here to stay even after the shooting.
Yeah, the people around here have been very welcoming. And
since we moved here, everyone's been so kind. I mean, we love it here.
In Shepherd, David J., MTN News.
Municipalities, schools, and state agencies in Wyoming are scrambling to figure out how to implement a ban on gun-free zones in the Cowboy State. In February, Governor Mark Gordon announced he would let House Bill 172, known as the Wyoming Repeal Gun-Free Zones Act, become law without his signature. The law repeals gun-free zones for government meetings and schools, including college campuses, and is set to take effect on July 1st. Now lawmakers, schools, and others are working to make rules to allow for permitted concealed carry of firearms in public buildings to comply with the legislation. Just last week, the University of Wyoming's Board of Trustees voted to change the school's firearms policy to match the new state law. Republicans in the U.S. House approved a budget framework before heading out on a 2-week recess. An initial step toward advancing the Trump administration's budget priorities. They have committed to finding at least $1.5 trillion in spending to help offset some of the cost of extending Trump's tax cuts, which are set to expire next year. MTN talked with both of our Republican congressmen, Troy Downing and Ryan Zinke, who say they're confident they can find the needed savings.
We need to make sure that money is going to things that are in the interests of the United States of America, the interest of our people, and making sure that we're being stewards of taxpayer dollars. So I'm excited about this next process. It's going to be difficult, a lot of moving parts, but I'm excited and I think we're going to get there.
Certainly there's areas we can be more efficient and save money. But if there's 1 out of 5 transactions in Medicaid that are fraudulent, we need to look at that.
Downing held a telephone town hall this week and says he heard from constituents worried about cuts to programs like Medicaid, but he argues their concerns are based on what he calls false narratives.
I think that, you can have a program that's just got, huge amounts of misspent money, misspent bureaucracy, where you can clean all that up without actually taking a benefit from anybody who is, lawfully due that benefit.
Democrats have argued the Republican plan will lead to massive cuts in entitlement programs such as Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. The U.S. and China remain locked in a trade war with neither side backing down, and the White House scores a legal victory in a push to deport a pro-Palestinian activist. CBS's Erica Brown has more.
The U.S. and China keep upping the ante in their tiff over tariffs. China fired their latest retaliation against the U.S., increasing the tax on U.S. goods to 125% starting Saturday. The move comes after President Trump raised tariffs on Chinese imports to 145% and excluded Beijing from his 90-day tariff pause for most trade partners.
I want to put the country in an unbelievable economic position, which is where we should be.
Consumers are caught in a battle between the world's two largest economies. George Ma runs a souvenir shop in New York's Chinatown.
The price double or triple up, then I don't think so people will buy, Right now they still complain expensive.
And as the Trump administration continues the deportation efforts, part of their immigration crackdown, an immigration judge in Louisiana ruled the U.S. can deport former Columbia University student Mahmoud Khalil despite his status as a permanent U.S. resident. Khalil led pro-Palestinian protests against the war in Gaza on Columbia's campus. The State Department argued the protests were anti-Semitic and he poses a national security risk. A statement from Khalil's wife was read during a press conference.
Today's decision feels like a devastating blow to our family. No person should be deemed removable from their home for speaking out against the killing of Palestinian families, doctors, and journalists.
Khalil's attorney argues he never committed a crime and was targeted by the government for exercising his right to free speech. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
Well, some changes on the way with the weather this weekend. Let's get a first look at the forecast from meteorologist Jason Stiff.
Hey, good Friday evening, everyone. A lot more clouds in our sky than we had earlier today, but the clouds didn't wait very long to get here. Despite all those clouds, it was a fairly warm day for us. Now, you'll see a lot of green blobs over Montana and parts of northern Wyoming, but very little of the rain that you see on the radar is actually making it to the ground. That is going to be changing, though, as we go forward into this coming weekend as a Pacific storm moves our direction. But before that storm got here, we had a lot of warmth today. Actually set a record in the Magic City after a fairly warm overnight low of 49. Look at that, 81 degrees for a high this afternoon. Warmest temperature of the year thus far and 1 degree over the record. But changes are coming. Your forecast coming up.
A D grade. That's what the American Society of Civil Engineers gave Montana's stormwater infrastructure in last year's report card. But here in Billings, some of that infrastructure is getting a major upgrade. Tonight, Isabel Sparts shows us how a 2-year construction project that is nearing completion now in the Heights will improve stormwater drainage and also keep the Yellowstone River cleaner.
Infrastructure across Montana is in badly need of some upgrades, but here on Wicks Lane, it's a start. Residents have seen construction here for the past 2 years, and it's all in the name of progress.
Wicks Lane in the Heights may currently look like this, but for good reason.
This helps us address current capacity issues.
Tyler Westrope is the project manager for the Wicks Lane Stormwater Improvement Project, which aims to improve flooding runoff and help filter stormwater into the Yellowstone River.
This project has been on our books to complete for a very long time, and up until recently, when we didn't have the funding to complete projects like this, it's just been one of those wish projects, and now it's a reality for us.
The $4.5 million project began nearly 2 years ago. They're currently replacing the area's water main and will soon move to surface restorations. Last month, a new 20 by 12 feet stormwater quality treatment structure was installed.
It was built in sections. It was just under $200,000 to buy and install. I think the lightest section was about 25,000 pounds.
Stormwater systems usually drain directly into the river untreated, but this new one will catch debris, floatables, and sediment before going into the Yellowstone River, where the city gets its drinking water from.
With this project, we did install the largest treatment unit we've installed in the city before. So we're pretty excited about how this project sets us up for current regulations and issues and in the future as well.
This new installation is replacing the older system from the 70s, and statewide, projects like this are overdue. A report card released in late 2024 by the American Society of Civil Engineers gave Montana's stormwater infrastructure a grade of a D-, in large part because of our state's inability to fund upgrades. Projects like these are expensive.
The Billings stormwater system it's in its infancy, but we feel like we have a very good plan moving forward. There's a lot of work to do.
The new infrastructure is expected to last 100 years, with construction to wrap up late next month, a step in the right direction.
We're trying to be a resilient stormwater system to really manage our risk, manage homeowners' risk, and as storms increase in intensity and size, we are well set up for the future for that.
In Billings, Isabel Sparts, MTN News.
When two colleges compete, you expect to hear a little trash talking, but today along Hogan's Slough, a stream in Billings, students weren't just talking trash, they were competing to pick it up. Yellowstone River Research Center organized an urban creek cleanup project today where students from MSU Billings and Rocky Mountain College teamed up to pull up waste and tires out of that area. Hogan's Slough was chosen due to the wildlife that lives in that area around the stream, which is also surrounded by roads and urbanization. Tires contain a toxic chemical that's harmful to wildlife, and today alone about 50 of them were pulled out of the stream bed. Well, the event was a competition between the two schools. That's not what it was all about.
Get your hands dirty for one, but also just being a part of the community, even if that doesn't mean like a social event. Like this is us being really good neighbors.
In addition to tires, a lot of plastic grocery store bags were also found throughout that creek.